Hello and welcome to Mangum News. I'm your host, Elijah Mangum. This week we'll be discussing Russia seizing control of Mauripol, a shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, a Pearl mother arrested for the murder of her infant, new announcements from Disney Upfront, my review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and my exclusive interview with WLBT reporter Roslyn Anderson. Without further ado, let's begin. On Monday, Ukrainian troops in the Avashal steel plant surrendered to Russian forces and were evacuated to the Russian-held territory in the Donetsk People's Republic, as Russia secured complete control over the city. This is a big victory for Russia, conquering their first major Ukrainian city almost 3 months since the beginning of the invasion. 10 were killed at the Top supermarket in Buffalo, New York on Saturday, May 14th. The shooter was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, pleading not guilty. New York Governor Kathy Hochul addressed the root causes of the shooting.
Just as a high school student, with respect to something he wrote in high school and was under surveillance at the time with medical authorities, but I'm going to be investigating that very question, George. I want to know what people knew and when they knew it, and calling upon our law enforcement as well as our social media platforms. The CEOs of those companies need to be held accountable and assure all of us that they're taking every step humanly possible to be able to monitoring this information. How these depraved ideas are fermenting on social media. It's spreading like a virus now. The white supremacy manifestos, the white supremacy concept of replacement theory, where they're concerned and now taking to the streets in places like Charlottesville and others, motivated by this idea that immigrants and Jews and blacks are going to replace whites, and that is spreading through social media platforms that need to be monitored and shut down the second these words are espoused out there in these platforms. It has to stop.
President Joe Biden traveled to Buffalo on Tuesday to deliver remarks to the victims' families.
Jill and I bring you this message from deep in our nation's soul. In America, evil will not win, I promise you. Hate will not prevail, and white supremacy will not have the last word.
On May 10th, 20-year-old Michaela Jolly of Pearl was cited by several repeatedly and forcibly throwing her 8-week-old daughter, Khaleesi Jolly, on the road. Jolly resisted arrest before being taken into custody. She was charged with capital murder and child abuse after her daughter died on May 12th. Jolly will receive no bond. During their Upfront presentation, Disney made announcements regarding upcoming Disney Plus projects. The highly anticipated Hocus Pocus sequel will release on September 30th, while the Enchanted sequel, Disenchanted, will release on Thanksgiving. Marvel Studios announced that the Hawkeye spinoff Echo has begun production and will release next year. Finally, the first trailer for She-Hulk Attorney at Law was released with a release date of August 17th.
You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness succeeds with great cameos, visuals, musical score, suspense, creative action scenes, and good performances, but suffers from questionable story elements. Overall, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Can you describe sort of your career from when you started to where you are now?
Sure. I graduated from Southern University with a broadcast journalism degree. My first job was in West Point, Mississippi, at a small station, WVSB. They didn't have local news, but I did news cut-ins and I was the film director. I stayed there about 2.5 years, and then I went to WTOK in Meridian, where I was a reporter and weather anchor. I was able to develop because of the tutelage of John Johnson, who was the news director, and the assignments editor, Barbara Kidd. They taught me how to write and report, and I had a great crew of photographers who taught me what to look for visually, how to write to video. I stayed there 2.5 years and came here. I've been with WLBT since I left WTOK. I started as a reporter and weather anchor and transitioned to the weekend anchor desk. I cover general news. My preference is feature stories. I like to highlight good, positive stories in the community. Daily reporting, going out with a team until recently, going out with a photographer, meeting people, interviewing everyone from someone down the street to the governor and people with federal positions. It's a wonderful career.
Can you kind of describe what a day in the life of Roslyn Anderson looks like?
Now I am a reporter, MMJ. In the mornings, we go to the assignments meeting at 9:30. We are required to submit a story idea for each day, and it's up to the assignments desk and management as to whether you will do that story or you will be assigned another story. Usually by 10 o'clock, your story is assigned. If it's a story that you've set up, you head there, get your interview information that you need, shoot the story, come back, write and edit that story. We have newscasts at 4, 5, 6, and 10. Also at 5:30 and 9 for Fox. They want various versions of those stories. Of course, you're familiar with VOSOTs and packages. And because we have different newscasts, they want you to rewrite the story and have different sound bites from your interviews, and you submit them, you edit, you write, have them done. At the end of the day, you rewrite your story for the web version, writing it as you would for print, and submit it, and it's usually posted, after your story has run.
And also, just something additional to ask about that. You've been at the station for a long time, and you just said you recently really began the title of being a multimedia journalist. Can you describe a little bit of that transition too?
I was a weekend anchor. There was some opportunities for me to go through Monday through Friday, and I was a reporter Monday through Friday. The corporate company who owns us, I was told, did not have straight reporters. Dave Kinney and I were the only 2 reporters that were left. So the transition now is for the multimedia journalists to do everything: report, shoot, edit, and write. Previously, we had photographers who went out with you as a team. So now you're required to do everything. Makes you well-rounded. It makes you have to be concise with your time. You can only spend so much time on so much stuff because you have to have everything done by a certain time. And usually they want if you have to do a story for 4 o'clock, they want the script in by 3 o'clock. You usually have to have your story in for each segment an hour ahead of time. So it makes you be very concise with time.
And the last thing would be, what would be your advice to an aspiring journalist?
Make sure that you have your facts correct. Most important is grammar, proper grammar, enunciation. Make sure that you have the spelling and the name of your subject. Make sure that the information that you have is correct. subject-verb agreement is most important. It seems like in the last few decades, subject-verb agreement and sentence structure have gone by the wayside, but being able to effectively communicate is one of the most important things, and being able to identify and have a conversation with whoever you're speaking with so that they're comfortable with you. They will be able to feel free to be expressive, and making them feel comfortable when you have a camera sometimes in someone's face, that kind of puts them at ill at ease. And if you could just talk with them a little bit about what your story is about, the direction you want to go, the information they want to share, they'll be more at ease with being freer with you in the conversation.
That's all we have for this week. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all on Memorial Day.